Cynthia Jensen, and I'm from Auckland, New Zealand. And for 40 or more years, I have been at the University of Auckland in the School of Medicine, in the anatomy department. Well, my research over the years has involved what is called the cytoskeleton. And this is made up of different filamentous structures that form the skeleton of each living cell. More recently, I've been looking at a single part of the cell, which is called a cilium. And this is a long projection that comes from the cell and is a sensory structure and receives sensation from outside the cell and passes this information on to the inside of the cell. In particular, we have studied cases where a living organism is lacking these very important cilia. These are called primary cilia. They don't move the way the cilia that line your airways do, for example. These are single, non-moving cilia, and they are sensory. They don't do any movement. And if an organism has a genetic condition where they're lacking these cilia, they develop all kinds of diseases. One of the most common is a disease in which the kidneys of the organism or of the person are all full of large cyst-like structures. So they're called multicystic or polycystic kidney disease. And this, of course, affects a certain number of the human population. There are also animal models that study the disease as well. And so because of our study of cilia, we've been able to determine how important they are in living organisms, a structure that was not really realized of its importance until fairly recently. The best aspect of being a scientist. Well, I think of being a scientist in my career has been both in teaching and research, and both are important. And I have taught in the medical school for all of the time that I was in the medical school at the University of Auckland. I taught histology and cell biology to medical students, second-year medical students. And that really gave me great pleasure. And it's very interesting that now I'm actually retired from the medical school, but I keep a close association with it. Most of the doctors that I go to in Auckland are some of my ex-students, and they take very good care of me. On the research side, I think that it's very exciting to be able to make new discoveries. It's also wonderful to come to meetings like this, where you can meet other scientists and hear about their work and tell them about your own work. And I should mention an incident that happened yesterday. After chairing a session on education yesterday morning, I was listening to the next session on training students, and I got up in the question and answer session and made the point that I had noticed there were many women in the audience. The audience was mostly students, and I was quite impressed that there were so many women from India who were coming to this meeting. And we did a show of hands, and it was probably 60% of that audience of students was women. Now, I'm told that there are not 60% of women in the academic areas. So that's where we all have to work, is trying to get these women to continue on in their career.